you doing?
Getting a caffeine fix.
Yeah. How is that? Is it tasty?
Yeah, it's just a kinda. I normally don't like the Red Bull,
Uh-huh.
so I tried this. It's nice.
Good.
It's good for people who don't like Red Bull.
Where is my cord? My power cord?
For the Dell,
Yeah, for my Dell.
I think it's there.
It's got a, yeah?
I think it's there.
But
for
that's
that.
not my Dell computer, is it, or is it?
I don't know.
Is that my, this is mine. Just wanna make sure I got that shit.
We have a cable here if you want to.
EXLC 2016.
If you want to, I can give you.
That's
this.
all good, it's all good, it's all good. Move that one over, yeah. Let's move that one over.
There.
So now we got presenters and workshops.
You want some more chairs in?
Huh?
You want some more chairs in?
No, I think we got plenty of chairs. Thank you, though. I think we were good on the chairs. Is that, let's get that white mug out of here if everyone's using that. That's like cleaning up some of the shit that's not necessary.
So just keep those displays.
Dan, will you be my guy to make sure everybody signs this?
Sign the poster. WWE.
Yes, I know. It's already copyrighted, but I can't have WWE. That's fine. It's the only one.
Very
You sit on there. You have to sit in the middle.
Alright, I was ready.
Or we can take the couches. We can totally take the couches. Yeah, we can take the couches.
I don't care if you guys don't take it.
I call those.
I call them blue.
I don't even get a couch.
You get that thing. Now you can help yourself.
Oh yeah, it's like this thing. Says you can't.
That's probably a good idea.
He's kind of being
I don't know. If we're not, I'm breaking the rules. Can we sing Hannah Montana? Oh wait, that's so many Disney songs. I can't get in. Nobody told you to turn it around that way. Wait, what's your name again?
Alex.
We never asked. Yeah, I've never. I wanted to ask my name. I'm fine. I mean, wait, what? I get it. It's a V. Nope. It's Anya. Hajima.
Get a good reaction for my TV people. Might be on TV.
Yes, but Anya. We're not doing this.
I told you, Brandon. I could have predicted this. I could have predicted this, Brandon.
My life.
Okay. We're not really
There's gonna be
find me in about an hour.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's
Wow, I looked up at Team 1 really quick and I thought it was bacon.
I wonder if it's on
Bacon. So Jeff has split.
Now there are two Jeffs. One, if you go to the active roundtable, one is a pork chop on it.
I knew he would. If you would ask me 5 hours ago, what will happen today, I would say, Jeff will leave about 2 o'clock. Come back at 9.
Maybe turn this down so when it pops up, people won't be like,
Disappointing, like, it's predictable, can't disappoint you, right?
I'm making it a month.
it's free price, son. That's categorically not true. Is that really pretty fucking off this
I'm gonna drop down my Mama out.
Awesome, everybody.
we can split it off.
We don't have everybody in.
Oh, we don't have anything. I we even playing this at all. It's a good thing it's 2 in the morning.
I don't think anyone knows this is some plan.
We are moving forward with what we're doing tonight. I think you guys have all done a fantastic job so far, and I love the way this has kind of organically come about. Not only from the way your teams have arrived with each other, but also how like things kind of like what Andy's been doing, kind of like working with one team a little more than the others. I love how this is just kind of people are fitting in, and expertise is kind of starting to work, and I think we're starting to get somewhere together. And I think what's going to be cool by the end of this 24-hour period of time is that we're going to emerge with 4 very, very unique, distinctive ideas and teams around these ideas that really could do something. And that is honestly my hope as the resource director of the Excel Center, is to walk out of here and have some examples of hardworking, brilliant people like yourselves to be able to stand and say, this is what Excel Center does, this is what we believe in, these are the people that come out of it when we put everybody together, and hope for the kinetic collisions and the expertise and the energy to come together. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it into a little more, if this ever borders on classroom, lecture, or information style, it's at this point and this point only. And that's because there are some things that are just best done right. And that is 10 or 15 minutes of just the straight backs. And the business model canvas is the one thing that any great business across, if they don't do it this way, they do it a very similar way. The best businesses in the world, they follow some model, some lean launch pad style canvas that gets them from idea to execution and then into the marketplace to start, dealing with customers. We at the University of Akron have 2 things I want to say about this, and I'll pass it up. Number 1, we are so incredibly lucky that we have a university-affiliated organization like the University of Akron Research Foundation, UARF. I work for them. I build the Excel Center, but I work for UARF because UARF heard about the concept of the Excel Center, and they said to the University of Akron, we believe in that so much, we want to put Ian in place to do this thing. So they are so supportive, it's insane. I work with Ann Hampton and Elise Ball, who are also at UARF. They're both attorneys at law, but they also handle the new venture, the Northeast Ohio Student Venture Fund, as well as the I-Corps program, the NSF I-Corps program. The University of Akron, if you've got a great idea, if you form a team, the fact that you have UARF and you have the I-Corps program and you have Dan and you have the Seed Clinic and you have all these things in Elise to get you off the ground, not every university has that. And not every university is set up in such a way where they can do that and support you without taking away your intellectual property. So this place is done in such a way where your ideas will actually be protected and you'll be the one that makes money if they're actually worth making money. So we are very fortunate to have them here today to teach the business model canvas. And then what we'll do is we'll start applying that to each of your ideas. Without further ado, you guys ready? Not ready?
Always.
They're ready. They're always ready.
Come on.
Honestly, let's put our hands together for these 2. I know you've already met them, but they're phenomenal.
This is the magic carpet right here.
There it is.
This solves all
Is
your
that
problems.
sticky?
No.
All right, well, I got tape. You need tape?
I'm just fan of light for the purpose of this presentation.
I don't know. I think we're on the slide too.
Yeah.
We kind of cheated because most of you guys, we already told you about, I think we told all the groups about the key elements of the business model canvas there. But this is what we normally use when we're thinking through our ideas. If somebody has a new company idea, this is the first place we go is to look at this canvas. It's a really easy visual way to start throwing down some hypotheses, some best guesses about what your business would look like. I don't know if that's working or
That
not.
one's on. Got a hot mic.
Apparently our picture just came out of the slide, so it's good that we brought back up. So the reason why we use this instead of a business plan is business plans take a really long time to put together. So we personally work with businesses that put together a 15-page business plan. They spend weeks or months putting it together, and then they realize as soon as they start working that most of it is wrong. They're typically, at least there's a lot of resistance to change it. I don't want to change it once I've spent months on it. It includes a lot of assumptions, which is what this canvas is for putting down assumptions and then testing whether those are true or not. There's no evidence. Hopefully, nobody that might be investing in your company or supporting your company will believe it. And the first time you talk to a customer, you will realize that a lot of it is wrong. So that's why we're using this thing right here. I like this guy right here. This is what happens the first time you meet a customer and tell them about your business idea. You realize that there was something that you were horribly wrong about, and it hit you right in the face. So do you want to?
Sure, so I know a few of the groups that I've been working with, I've been talking about this block, which is the value proposition block, and this block, which is the customer segment block. And if you look on the slides, these are the 4 first blocks that you should look at. And the question I've been asking many of you is, what is the value proposition and who is it for? So why do people care and who cares? And it's really important to nail this down because the rest of your guesses that you throw up here and then are required to go out and check and validate are formed around whether or not you have a product market fit in the first place. It's the most difficult hurdle to get through before
If you get these 2 boxes right,
you've got the biggest problem.
you have a ton of leeway to figure out all the other boxes because you'll always be able to generate some revenue. You'll always be able to get somebody to invest in you because you have a credible customer and credible value that you provide for that customer.
Right, so back up 1 second. So what you're saying is once you have those 2 boxes filled in, you're always protected. You can always refer back to them because of the insulation that those give you because it's substance.
Yeah, the rest are going to be, you're going to have hurdles with the other blocks. I mean, that's inevitable. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to get your product. I mean, how are you going to get your product through the right channel to your customer? But if you have somebody who's interested and willing to buy your product, that's the biggest hurdle that you have to get because that's honestly the hardest thing to find. So many of the people that we work with are working with, much like many of the things you guys are working on, extremely high-tech opportunities. And there are 1,000 different ways you can solve a problem. There's 1,000 different offerings that somebody might want for a product, for a drone, for a Fitbit-like apparatus. There's 1,000 different ways that a person might want some information, might want a certain offering. But what we always come back to is, okay, number 1, is there a problem? And then number 2, is your solution the one that your customer's caring about? Or is it just one of the other many different ways that you go solve the problem? So it's really hard to find out actually who cares and why they care because of this multifaceted kind of dilemma. And I always always show people, who in here knows about the Ford SUV where you can stick your foot under the bumper and the liftgate opens up? I can think of 6 different ways that you can solve the exact same problem. So what's the problem there? Let's talk it out. What are some problems?
Your hands are occupied, so you can't open the truck.
So how do I open the door? With all this crap in my hands, how do I open the door without the Ford liftgate?
Well, you have to put everything down and then open it.
What are some other problems? I might drop my eggs.
Yeah.
I might crunch something. I might have to sit my baby down who's in the baby carrier either on the ground or on the hood of the car. I might have to do something else. Yeah.
Are we taking the solution and finding the problem that's associated with it? Or
No, we're finding the problem. This is the problem.
Oh.
I can't open the car door without having to put my stuff down, get into my pockets. Now, if you think about the different ways that can be solved, you can have a bigger button on your keypad, so I can just hit the button in my keypad and actually have it open up. It could be something that's sensor activated. Once I get in within a certain distance, it just opens up the liftgate of the car.
voice activation.
It could be voice activation. There are 100 different ways that you could come up with a solution that could have solved that problem. But the real question is, which one do the customers want? Which one do the car owners want to have? So that when they go to their car, they're gonna implement it the most.
There's still an issue with that. Well, the foot one is definitely probably the easiest. That's the issue of, did your car have to be unlocked before you did that first? I mean, what if your car was locked and someone could do that to you? To your
Yeah,
car
and
instead?
that's beyond kind of this value proposition.
I'd say to focus it back a little bit.
Yeah.
The important thing that Ford did is they recognized the problem.
They recognize the
There were
problem.
multiple ways to solve it. Some turned out to be better than others once they tested, but they found a problem that other automotive companies had. And what we see a lot of the time is people who come to us with solutions in search of problems. So we had one guy that was convinced, another automotive example, he came up with a more reliable motor for hybrid and electric vehicles. What do you think the problem with that might be?
He doesn't understand.
Efficiency.
Oh, it literally is more reliable. I have no doubt he made a more reliable motor.
Efficiency.
Hybrid electric motors are pretty reliable.
Exactly. Hybrid electric vehicle motors don't fail. The battery fails, other components of the vehicle fail. They went out, they actually talked to car dealerships, they talked to the maintenance departments. After about 15 maintenance departments where the guys were saying, we don't even stock spare motors. I've been here for 10 years, I've never seen a motor fail. We've had this line of hybrid vehicles on the road for 5 years, never had a motor failure that I've seen. They finally admitted that they'd created a really, really good solution for a problem that didn't exist.
So I mean, we can, this is something that we wanted to briefly, if you guys have more questions, please feel free to ask us now, but also you can ask us when we're coming around. We do stress using the Canvas because it's really easy. Ian has purchased some Post-it notes, which is the ideal way to use the Canvas is you can draw this up on your boards, throw down sticky notes as to what your guesses are. What do you think your value propositions are and who is it actually applying to very specifically? And then start researching that. And if you're noticing that it's not a good fit, remove it and put down a different customer segment, but keep it somewhat narrowly defined when you start. How are you going to get your product using the channels? How are you going to actually get your product from your company to your customer? What does it look like? And then there's lists in here. If you guys look up business model Canvas or come up and look at this one, we have a few more that we can post around. But it actually gives you kind of questions to look at, things that you should consider that are broad topic, not exhaustive by any means, but will at least get you guys a head start on where you might be able to go, what other questions you might want to ask as you evaluate your opportunities. Last slide.
Oh yeah, so customer segment, I think we've actually talked almost already about this. Customer segment has to be personal. A building, an institution doesn't make a purchasing decision. So a lot of you guys that are thinking you're going to sell into a university or something, you need actual job titles within that institution to go after. The other thing that I think we've hit a lot of the groups on is it has to be a specific, well-defined group. If it's a group where only 4% or 2% of the people in that group are going to buy your product, you probably haven't narrowed down. You haven't found specific enough aspects to your group. And that's exactly it. So very few people who fit the specific description will buy your product. And very few might be an overstatement. Typically, if it's a consumer product, if 20% of people in that group will buy, that may be specific enough. But if you have single-digit percentages that you think would actually buy, that's typically a problem. They have to have the ability to pay. This sounds really, really obvious, but that's something that people get tripped up on all the time. If you're selling to a company and you find out that person doesn't have that in their budget to even control this money, we've been buying this enterprise software for 400 years and a different department controls that line item. Or if you're trying to sell to individuals, that happens a lot with consumer products, people are targeting at children. Who has to actually make that purchase? It's mom's credit card that has to come out, so you have to consider her too. And then for things where you're trying to sell to an institution, if there's any kind of metric, even if it's people that are working out, if there's something that you can claim you're going to improve for them, and there's some kind of metric associated with it that you can point to, that can be huge in making them make that decision. Do we want to go through value props?
I mean,
I think I'm thinking
we
this is
went-
actually an old slide because I don't think we had this much.
We went backwards.
So, value prop, direct benefit to the customer, and the one that I think is most important to me is in words that you think the customer would actually say. So if you're looking at competing products out there, other items, and you're seeing similar words crop up, these are typically things that resonate.
Before you move on from this though, don't you think this is a good slide to kind of talk about what will make sense when they're actually at the end of this, when they're in front of judges, when they're actually kind of pitching, not necessarily the pitch itself, but just kind of talking about the value proposition, always keeping in mind, how is this a value, how is this.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the things we like to see when we work and we tell people to talk to as many people as we can, and you guys, I mean, we're currently in the wee hours of the morning. So I don't think unless you can like call somebody across the world, yeah, you call somebody across the world, they might be up and doing some of the things that you guys are working on to get some feedback. But something you should consider is how can you get some information here on campus or
Well, the
close
other
to.
important thing to think about is tomorrow morning, I'm
Yeah.
assuming these doors are gonna unlock and you guys are gonna have, 10 to 12 hours between 7 or 8 a.m. and when you guys actually have to pitch. And a few hours of that may be time well spent if you can go to a gym on campus or go to the engineering building and interview people that you think might be customers for your product.
Yeah, like the workout folks, you guys should go to the gym. Whenever the gym opens up, you guys should be there. You should talk. There will be enough people there for you guys to get feedback on what problems do you have with your current technologies. Do you like the current offerings that are out in the market? Where do they fall short? What other things would you like to see? And you should be able to pull quotes from them. And in your presentation, it's always very powerful to say, we talked with 20 people at the Akron Rec. 15 of them said that they were really pissed off with the way that Fitbit was operating, and here's how they said they would want this solution to be. We're going to model our offering after the things that they said, and towards the feature set that they've identified and the benefits that that would have. Similarly, you can do something with the faculty project management group. You guys should be able to go find some people on campus that are doing that, whether it's GAs, whether it's faculty members that are here, but find out whether or not the faculty here at UA are your customer segment. They may or may not be. We don't know. We challenge you to go out and find that information, but start throwing down your guesses as to your best customer segments, who they might be.
Exactly right, that tomorrow there will be time to figure out where is the best place to go and find samples, do some customer discovery. The reason that's awesome is when you do your pitch, like they said, if you've got the ability to show that in the 24 hours that we've been together, from coming together, meeting, putting together our teams, we've actually gone out and we've done some customer discovery. You understand how unbelievable that just is in and of itself? The research, the depth of how you cover these bases. And that goes so far. And someone like Sherry Brown, when they see the total of that, don't underestimate how incredibly powerful that might be.
I mean, we actually met with a group this morning, and they're in a local pitch competition. They're one of the finalists, and we challenged them. We said, hey, there's 5 other teams in this pitch competition that are all incredibly intelligent people. They all have really good ideas. So what's going to separate you from group 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6? And one of the things we said was, how many customer interviews have you done since you've started this pitch competition? And guess how many they've done? 0. So we said, go out and talk to some people so that when the pitch competition comes up, you can say, hey, not only do we have this good pitch, but we've actually progressed. This is not just a pitch thing for us. We're not just perfecting our pitch, but we're actually progressing our business. So if you go out and you start doing this, it takes your initiative, your project, your product to that next level. You'll be able to get a lot more validation, or you'll be able to find out that maybe nobody does care, and you'll have to either pivot or consider a different technology, a different offering that was presented here today.
Saves you a lot of time. And another thing Dan is right about is that, I mean, if you put in 200 hours for something and somebody puts in 2 hours for something, and they actually are better at something than you are for 200 hours, they do deserve it. But if you put in 20 hours and they put in 20 hours and they put in 20 hours, it's kind of an equal thing. There are ways you can stack your odds of success, and that's things like this. Tons and tons of validation, tons and tons of legitimacy, and showing that your ideas are qualified by different kinds of populations, all saying what you're talking about is useful. That's how you can add your, insulate picture bets.
If you guys have questions, please fire them. None. Yeah.
So like a nonprofit, does anything change with the whole idea that you guys have up there?
essentially, we found what is called a mission model canvas, so it's tweaked a little bit, but they're still very much
I will
the
say,
same. It's
I
not-
actually don't like it. We actually use this for our
Yeah, we
nonprofit
do.
just because, you know, at the end of the day, the cost and the revenue typically equals out in a nonprofit. You're not trying to make money, but we still consider ourselves to have customers.
They just they relabel these 4 blocks, and it's more around what's the mission of the organization instead of who are the customer segments, who are the stakeholders, who are the key opinion leaders. It's essentially the same people though. I mean, we both work for the Research Foundation, which is in itself a nonprofit. The Northeast Ohio Student Venture Fund is a nonprofit, and we've done can buy on both, and you can apply this to both organizations. And my feeling is, if you can apply a for-profit business model canvas, it's not going to hurt a nonprofit organization. It's only going to prove that you have a more sustainable model if you're able to do it on the for-profit track versus the nonprofit.
But you have copies of this.
We have 2 more big copies, and then you should be, if your internet's working, you can find this online. You can find this exact one when we blew it up. And there's a bunch of resources around this campus. But we have 2 more big ones that we can post up and we can post.
Tomorrow is Saturday, so is the fact that you're gonna go up tomorrow?
It may not be.
There may not be all of them, but I would,
There will be
I would
some around,
think,
I can
especially
find.
for those of you who are doing engineering-based things, that they would be on campus doing research, and you should be able to track them back.
It's gonna be a little more challenging on Saturday, but I know there are faculty that are coming.
I want to see the Smash team at least get a few customer interviews. Go find some people that want to break.
Let's find some disgruntled people.
I think if you find people in the library on a Saturday, you basically know that they're disgruntled. So I think that's a good place to start.
Any other questions? Good break. You guys can get back to it, I guess.
Yep. We will reconvene for more
You
workshops.
can come grab us one-on-one if you would like as well.
And, oh yeah, by the way, one person from your team stay back and talk to me. So I can give you your, sticky notes.
Yeah, I got it.
Maybe I created something out of this. We didn't have to take